What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. And the Democrats and Senator Joe Manchin have announced a deal, and Republican Senate leader Mitch McConnell is completely furious as the Democrats may have played him. Yeah, he's not very happy. We'll go over the details of that in this video and a couple other things here. As this Mitch McConnell, if you remember here a few days ago, he was threatening to hold the chips bill, the semiconductor bill, and the computer chips bill hostage. He was saying that he potentially wasn't going to vote for it. He was going to withhold the Republican votes and not pass it if the Democrats went forward with the reconciliation bill, which used to be called the Build Back Better bill, but it's literally been changed so many times, been stripped down so many times by Senator Joe Manchin that it's actually going to have a new name here. I'll give it to you here in a second here, and it's just could change so much considerably here. We'll get to that here in a minute. But so Joe Manchin may have played possum with the Democrats and the Republicans here, potentially on purpose, and so that Mitch McConnell was thrown off the scent to pass the chips bill, the semiconductor bill that was just passed here, which is something, and I've said this all along, even before the kind of controversy here, that it is something we need here in the U.S. We have a major chip shortages, especially here with cars, and it is something we need to have made here in the U.S. But there was a lot of controversy over it because it was basically a blank check for corporate welfare. And Senator Bernie Sanders, who's an independent, he's not really a Democrat, especially because he blasted this bill and blasted both Democrats and Republicans who voted for this bill, saying it needs more guardrails on it. It needs to have more restrictions on it for this bill so that these corporations can't just spend the money and use it however they want in simple form, to simplify it. Okay. So, but nonetheless, it passed with bipartisan support, including Mitch McConnell's vote here. And then with this bill just passing here, now Joe Manchin has all of a sudden changed his mind, and now he's wants to pass the reconciliation bill. Here's the details. Yeah, Democratic Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia says he has reached a deal on Schumer on taxes, climate, and reducing inflation, all sorts of different things here in this bill, although it is definitely a reduced bill. Take a look.
We have a bit of news from Capitol Hill. For some, it might be a year overdue for Democrats, but it's not the deal that they had been wishing for, even the one they thought they might get a month ago. Senator Joe Manchin has reached a deal with Chuck Schumer on a reconciliation bill. So what was once the Build Back Better bill that was going to make a huge impact potentially with climate is now going to be called the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. It is not a sweeping bill. It will not change the way government works. Manchin says it will simply dedicate hundreds of billions to deficit reduction. It will raise some taxes on certain corporations. He says it will deal with energy, healthcare, and the tax code. And, of course, that would impact climate as well. But on all of these deals, I think we all should wait until you see it all actually happen and we see the details, what they've actually agreed to versus what's in the press releases. But whatever negotiating was happening, apparently that stuff is over, and they're starting to put some pen to paper.
Yeah, so the Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. And again, we're just getting details here. It's not a bill that's written or anything along those lines. Here's what the New York Times has to say. Let me know your thoughts on this. And again, Mitch McConnell's furious that he may have gotten played. We'll get to that here in a second. Yeah, so this is from the New York Times here. You can see here Joe Manchin's climate announcement. This has to do with a lot of different things here with this new package, this Inflation Reduction Act of 2022, they're saying. But one part of it is climate reduction here. You might be saying, how can they change the climate? This is how it's kind of going to work here. Joe Manchin's climate announcement has the potential to be a very big deal. A deal for now. Many parts of the federal policy shift back and forth over time. Taxes rise and fall, as do spending on anti poverty programs and the military. If a package of policies doesn't pass one year, it might pass in a future year, and the long term trajectory of the United States probably won't be affected much. Policy or climate policy is different. The world has already warmed to dangerous levels. Heat waves, wildfires, droughts, severe storms have become more common. We're seeing fires right now we actually had some in Texas and in California. The Arctic is melting, seas are rising. If countries do not act quickly to slow their emissions of greenhouse gases and by extension slow global warming, the damage could be catastrophic, scientists have warned. This is coming from the New York Times, so this is not coming from me or anything like that. The US has a uniquely important role in fighting climate change. It has produced far more greenhouse gases over the course of history than any other nation and remains a leading emitter today. In recent years, the US has done considerably less to reduce emissions than Europe. So this is how they can, quote, affect climate, right? The US also remains the world's most powerful country with the ability to influence climate policy in China, India, and elsewhere. Until yesterday, the Democratic Party seemed as if it were on the verge of squandering a major opportunity to combat climate change. Democrats control both Congress and the presidency, and yet they have been unable to agree on a package of climate policies to accelerate the use of clean energy and reduce emissions. That's one of the key things there. Senator Joe Manchin had been blocking any deal, and the Senate is so closely divided that Democrats cannot afford to lose a single vote. However, strangely, Joe Manchin appeared to change his mind. He announced that he had agreed to include hundreds of billions of dollars for climate and energy programs in a bill that would also reduce prescription drug pricing, raise taxes on the affluent and, well, corporations. We'll have to see what happens when we get detailed, and shrink the federal deficit, which, may reduce inflation. If Manchin and other Democrats remain united, it would be a very big deal. This has the quote, this has the opportunity to be an enormous breakthrough for climate progress, they say. It's especially significant because congressional Republicans have almost uniformly opposed policies to slow climate change, in parentheses, a contrast with conservatives in many other countries. And if Congress fails to do so this year, it may not be able to do so for many other years, depending on what happens here with the next elections. So now the next question is here, that was from the New York Times, did Joe Manchin and Chuck Schumer just play Mitch McConnell? Well, Mitch McConnell is completely furious at Joe Manchin's, quote, surprise economic deal. All of a sudden now he's got this deal after Democrats, he didn't have a deal. Now they passed the chips and semiconductor deal in the Senate. And now all of a sudden Joe Manchin has flipped, changed his mind yet again. Gee, pretty ironic there, right? Yeah. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell bashed an agreement between Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia and Democratic leaders that revived part of their agenda here yesterday. Quote, Democrats have already crushed American families with historic inflation. Now they want to pile on giant tax hikes that will hammer workers and kill many thousands of American jobs. Democrats say it's going to lower inflation. Mitch McConnell says it's going to hammer workers and kill many thousands of American jobs. Yeah. Manchin released a statement announcing the deal less than 5 hours after the 17 Senate Republicans, including Mitch McConnell, joined every Senate Democrat to approve a $52 billion bill to strengthen the semiconductor industry. These are It's actually a $280 billion bill. It's just a $52 billion just for the semiconductor. I'll show you the headline here. Yeah, Senate approves $280 billion bill to boost a semiconductor chip making and technology in the U.S. So there was a bunch of different things in the bill. It's really like a package. Okay, bipartisan backers say measures needed to counter China. Counter China. And again, it is something needed here in the U.S. No doubt. It just needed a little bit more guardrails, but nonetheless, it had bipartisan support, and Mitch McConnell voted for it. These are computer chips powering smartphones, medical devices, and other high tech items facing pandemic related shortages. McConnell had previously threatened to hold up the semiconductor legislation if Democrats threatened advancing their health, climate, and tax bill. The latter measure is getting passed with only Democratic votes in the budget reconciliation process, allowing to skirt the Republican resistance. Mitch McConnell tweeted a month ago saying, quote, let me be perfectly clear. There will be no bipartisan semiconductor chips bill as long as the Democrats are pursuing a partisan reconciliation bill. Well, that's passed the Senate now, and all they need to do is pass it in the House now, which the Democrats can do on their own. Well, Mitch McConnell's not very happy. Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana, Republican, accused Democrats of double crossing them. Quote, they sucked Republican votes up like a Hoover Deluxe and then got their votes and then bam, announced this new tax increase. He told Fox News, we look like a bunch of, well, I'm not going to say what we look like. Now, note the tax increases is set to be, I'll get to that here in a second here. It now goes to the House where House Republicans are starting to line up in opposition. I'm surprised that they even announced Joe Manchin's deal until it passed the House. Senate Democrats had been deceitful for drawing Republican support of the CHIPS bill, then announcing a agreement to revive Biden's agenda. They shouldn't even announce that until they passed it if they were smart. But one prominent House progressive, Pramila Jayapal, said on why they were angry at Joe Manchin, saying, quote, we've all been there, saying about being angry at Senator Joe Manchin, right? I think even the people at home could say the same thing about being angry at Senator Joe Manchin, right? I mean, he's literally stalled and blocked a lot of different things that could help out a lot of people for a long time. So we'll have to see what ends up in this bill. But I believe what the taxing part of the bill, I mean, we'll have to see when it passes and finalizes here and what actually ends up in the bill, what the details are, what they end up putting in the bill before it's all finalized, and what ends up all being in there. I'll give you details here, when we get more information, it all ends up being fine, as we go forward here. But the taxing portion, I think, is going to be a minimum tax rate for corporations. So, the famous example here is always Amazon. Okay, Amazon made $11.2 billion in 1 year. Amazon's always the famous example here because they're one of the largest corporations. You know, Amazon and Walmart are like the largest corporations in America. Amazon made $11.2 billion in 1 year in profit, okay, and paid $0 in taxes. Zero. Okay. And then since then, they've made billions and billions and billions more and paid only a few percent in taxes, like 6% or less. Okay. So the problem is should they pay $0 in taxes on billions and billions of dollars and then only a few percent on taxes? So what they want to do is so that right now there's a 21% corporate tax rate. And what they want to do here is that for corporations that are going to end up making a certain amount, it might be end up $1 billion in profits or whatever the details end up being here. They're going to impose, say, a minimum of 15% corporate taxes. Okay. So that no matter how much write offs they do or finagling or financial wizardry. Now, don't get me wrong; they do this legally. The problem is there's too many loopholes in the tax system. There's too many loopholes in the tax code. Okay, and the majority of these companies can't move stuff overseas. Amazon can't move stuff overseas. Okay. They literally sell stuff here in the United States. Walmart sells stuff here in the United States. Okay. So you look at that, Nike sells shoes here in the United States. You look at a lot of that stuff here, sells stuff here in the United States. Okay. Um, so what they want to do is if they're one of these top corporations that make billions of dollars, they just want them to pay some taxes, 15%. They're not looking to make them pay ridiculous. And if they already pay 15% or more, then they wouldn't even be paying any more taxes, is from what I understand here going forward. We'll have to see what ends up finalizing. The other thing they have to do here is they have to get Senator Kirsten Sinema's vote and approval. She has already said here that she's going to have to review the details once she gets the final details because we don't even know all the final details yet. So I'll keep you up to date here with everything. Again, like the other video says, we'll have to see. And we'll have to see what all ends up getting put in the package here. They're calling it an inflation relief package. So I'll keep you up to date what gets put in the package here before all is said and done. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I will keep you up to date here. Make sure to subscribe down below and click the bell icon down below so you don't miss out on new videos. And remember, new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Here's details about the $280 billion bill that was just passed. And here's details about term limits could be coming to the Supreme Court. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.